Hello everyone and welcome to an Incursions / King of Games preparation guide. This event ran for the first time in December of 2023 and I was determined to get the title. I put up a score of 647,000 points and was lucky enough to score position number 2 in the world. I wear this title with pride and today I will be detailing my experience with the event and how you can score yourself the title when the event next rolls around. If you're not here to prepare for the King of Games event, I will still be giving a detailed guide on Sector 6 and how you can prepare for a Zone 25 run. So first of all, who should you be using for a maxed Sector 6 run? Well, there are two obvious choices, Hercules and Aegon. They were the two champs I began my grind with, but I gravitated towards only using Aegon as I progressed further. Here's why. With Hercules, obviously, he is extremely good for all types of content, and this includes Incursions runs. His main appeal is that he can't instantly die, but instead will go through his immortality first before he is able to be killed. While this sounds good on paper initially, I don't think it's the kit you should be focusing on for Incursions. Your goal should not be to not die, your goal should be to kill the opponent without taking damage. If you have to rely on immortality to get you through fights, you are eventually going to come to a fight where the immortality will not suffice. With Aegon, his kit allows him to not only kill the enemy, but can do so without as much as parrying, once you have max ramp that is. So while yes, Hercules is an amazing pick for doing Zone 25 runs, he is not as sustainable as I would have liked him to be. Not to mention, Aegon is quite literally built to handle massive and long fights, which is what Zone 20 and up becomes. For this guide, I'll be covering how I approached my Sector 6 runs using Aegon, but if you want to use Hercules, that's fine. You might also prefer using someone like Angela or Strife, perhaps even a wildcard, maybe Titania or Wong, they're all fine. The team composition is quite important, so here's how I start mine. The beginning team is Aegon, Odin and Proxima. Once I'm in the first fight, I apply my Odin pre-fights, do the fight, and go to Zone 2. Here I switch out Odin for Heimdall. From here, I keep this as my team for as long as I can. Should I need to switch out a champion for a counter to a fight, I switch out Proxima. It's important to try and keep her on the team for as long as possible though, since she has some extremely useful synergies with Aegon. So you have your team set up and you're ready to go through all of Sector 6. What should you look out for when you're doing your runs? In general, Aegon will be able to handle most nodes and champions you come across, but he can't do everything. There will be some champs that can pose quite a threat, especially if they have some deadly nodes. The main ones I found to cause issues were Mephisto, Rintrah, Sasquatch, the Mystic Deadpooloid, and Spider-Man Supreme. Ones which I found to be big pains depending on the nodes also include Wong, Kate, Future Ant-Man, Zemo, and Havoc. In terms of nodes, there are two which severely impact how you fight the defender, those being Terminal Velocity and Third Law. These are avoided at all costs because they can and will completely demolish you if they get out of hand. Some other nodes you should be wary of but can deal with if you know how to include Caltrops, Spite, Special Fate Seal Lockdown, and most if not all power gain related nodes. Any nodes which remove your buffs can also be dangerous if not handled properly. This might include Buffet or Fisticuffs. Obviously, everyone is going to have a different set of skills and experience with the game, so you may find that you agree with me, or might find that they are a lot easier to deal with. My main concern is that they will cause issues, but they can be dealt with. The way you deal with nodes and defenders will also change depending on which boss hacks you pick up along the way. For a run with Aegon, there are 4 boss hacks that I like to look out for. Number 1 is Buff Cornucopia. This is a classic and offers some very unique and very handy utility. Since Aegon is constantly activating many buffs with his max ramp, Buff Cornucopia will be triggering constantly. The buffs you can get from it range from handy to life-saving. It is one of the few ways you can heal throughout Incursions and you will be using the heals a ton. Not to mention, it has many more passive buffs such as perfect block chance and energy and physical resistance. They aren't always necessary, but can provide some extra protection in case something goes wrong or you're trying to conserve health. The second boss hack I like to look out for is Keep It Going. At first it doesn't sound extremely game changing, but trust me, it takes Aegon's damage to a whole other level. This hack benefits from the attacker having as much damage as possible, and since Aegon is constantly increasing his attack, the armor break potency from Keep It Going ends up hitting numbers in the tens of thousands. This synergizes really well with my third choice of boss hacks, strategic movement. Strategic movement offers the opportunity to dex or perfect block a hit to build one attack and one unblockable charge. These charges can be stacked up as high as you wish and will be activated when you next hit the opponent. The reason this synergizes so well with Keep It Going is that you can build up to a combo of 9, dex a few hits to build up the fury charges, and then hit the opponent to do millions of damage. There are some cases where hitting the opponent beyond 10 or so hits will be extremely deadly, so having an option to avoid that is key. The final hack I like to go with is Rage into Combat. I know some people would potentially pick up something like Perpetual Offense instead, but hear me out. When Aegon has his ramp, he activates Furies on every single hit. Because of this, Aegon gains power at an incredibly fast rate, so much so that he can get to a special 3 in the middle of his second combo of the fight. This allows you to cycle special 3s over and over, permanently stun locking the enemy. Having access to basically free and permanent stun lock can avoid a lot of cases where the enemy throwing a special could be lethal. Craven, Joe Fixit, Punisher 2099. Their specials with annoying side effects or potentially deadly chip damage can be completely avoided here. In general, I don't recommend re-rolling for boss hacks in regular Sector 6 runs. If you don't get the exact stuff you are looking for, you'll just have to make do. You might not get to zone 25, but you can still push on pretty far. But now I'll get into how to prepare for grinding out the King of Games title. This is where I would suggest re-rolling for boss hacks, as you want to be going as high as possible every single time. Getting to zone 15 to 20 and getting stuck is way too time consuming to have that be the consistent run. Re-rolling for boss hacks gives you the best opportunity to push to zone 25. I will say, for your first run, I would just go in with Aegon and see what hacks you get, no re-rolling. You need to get used to the feel of Incursions and running Aegon as your primary attacker for many different fights, and after you get the hang of it, go get your top boss hacks and grind out zone 25. I spoke to the people who placed number 9th in the world and the person who placed 1st, and the difference in points is very large. For the number 1 spot, they put up a score of 937,000 points. This is approximately equal to 20 zone 25 runs. For me, I did 647,000 points and did around 12 zone 25 runs. If you want to just squeeze into top 10, the number 9th person put up a score of 355,000 points, which is about 7 runs. Now that the community has points to run off of, I would aim to put up around 400 to 500,000 points, or around 10 full zone 25 runs worth. This should pretty safely land you in the top 10 spot. That being said, there is another factor you need to take into consideration: the unit cost. For me to go through and complete 12 zone 25 runs, I used up around 4,500 units. This came from re-rolling hacks, refreshing my champions, which was mainly just a 6-star Aegon and 6-star Odin, revives, and occasionally health potions. They all add up extremely quickly, and if you end up getting cut short of a full run, that can be extremely costly. My suggestion is to try and get the majority of your runs done in the first 5 days of the event, and then see how you're feeling for the remaining 2 days. If you want to continue pushing and getting more points, you go for it. If you're feeling comfortable with where you're at, do some more light runs, no unit spending, no revives, just gather points and practice if needed. In general, Incursions is not a particularly popular game mode, so my guess would be that not many people would want to grind it out. That was my main motivator for trying to get the top 10 spot in the first place, and it seems as though I was correct. However, there are collectors in this game, and they will do what they can to get what they want. Push and grind to the best of your abilities, and make sure you commit to the grind. But for now, I hope this video has helped you in one way or another. If you plan to go for the title when it next comes around, I wish you the best of luck. If you were just looking for some tips or opinions for Incursions, I hope you found some valuable information. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and good luck to you. Take care everyone.